In this short talk, I'd like to introduce you to my Wellcome Trust-funded research by discussing the art of selling sunshine during the early 20th century. I'll be focusing on advertisements about consuming light, and in particular ultraviolet or UV light, as a decidedly modern and ambivalent practice. So some background. Artificial light therapy, also known as phototherapy or actinotherapy, developed from the 1890s to treat patients suffering from forms of tuberculosis and skin diseases within the supervised spaces of hospitals and clinics. At the same time, natural sunlight therapy or heliotherapy was also developing as a modern and progressive treatment, tackling the same diseases but at sanatoria in the countryside, at the beach, and abroad in the mountains. By the 1920s, these light cures were tremendously popular, especially to treat children with illnesses like rickets. But members of the general public who were not ill as such also sought out these exposures, whether naturally out of doors or artificially by visiting a clinic or privately within the home. Small portable lamps began to appear on the market by the late 1920s alongside larger lamps for clinical use. Manufacturers marketed these luxury items as products offering sunlight on tap with a simple flick of a switch. Ads professed that lamps would bring summer sunshine during the winter to the sun-starved. In this 1936 leaflet, the Vitan mercury vapor lamp shines down on a smiling and deeply tanned woman dressed for the beach, yet oddly draped around her contours is the lamp's electrical cord. In this color montage of photographs and graphic lines, the boundary between natural and artificial is blurred. In this imaginary landscape, the lamp is positioned as though taking its natural place, embedded within the radiating sun. In fact, it was well known that lamps like these did more than simply simulate or act as a substitute for sunlight. In producing higher levels of UV radiation, these lamps were considered by many as technologically advanced improvements on natural sunlight above and beyond what nature could offer. So my work explores the British history of light therapy through images and objects, photographs, advertisements, lamps, goggles. These material remnants, these things are important to me as an art historian. Like text, they actively communicated what these treatments were and how light was conceptualized to act on the body. My project is entitled Soaking Up the Rays, the Reception of Light Therapeutics in Britain, and I mean the word reception here in two ways. The first is in reference to the reception of these treatments by the medical community and the public, so their validation and acceptance. But I also use the word reception to mean the taking in or taking on of light therapies in relation to bodies themselves as receptacles of light. The eyes and skin are photosensitive organs, and they were perceived by doctors to act like the photosensitive plates and films used in photography, both light therapy and photography being driven by photochemistry. This notion of receptivity meant that sunburn and suntan were desirable markers of UV light's activating and transformative powers. By irradiating the body with light, doctors saw wounds heal and close, deformed spines straighten, weight gain, and smiling faces on their patients. If it could cure disease, the logic went that it could cure the so-called normal individual seeking a nutritious boost as well. And in their ads, manufacturers offered British consumers products quite literally for consumption, light food, as we can see in this ad by UV lamps. Those hungry for light or downright sun-starved could consume light with a lamp just as they could ingest a pill of vitamin D, known as the sunshine vitamin. And some even equated sunbathing with the consuming of fresh fruit, both methods for physically eating sunshine. And it went beyond metaphor. These lamps had extensions that could penetrate the body through every single orifice, bringing UV light into its interior. One way or another, light was being internalized by the British public, penetrating bodies, being absorbed by them, and loading them with irradiative energy, as one doctor put it. This understanding of the therapeutic value of consumed light is visualized by charged, buzzing white contours around figures, but is also represented by the bright smiles, tan skin, and attractive bodies of men, women, and children who communicate radiant health. Significantly, light therapy developed alongside other forms of radiation therapy at this time, the gamma rays of radium and the X-rays of radiotherapy. Radiant then is a fitting word because I mean not only a jubilant smile or a healthy glow, but actually glowing with radiation. Such visual representations of light therapy are so pervasive during this historical period that I believe that they naturalized and normalized the affinity of sunlight to happiness and re-energized health. And importantly, in spite of growing medical awareness that UV rays could cause cancer, it's known since 1925. With their glossy artifice and vanguard design, these images represent UV exposures as highly constructed modern practices. And my point is that as artifacts, they communicate the history of light consumption as a therapeutic measure full of promise, but equally, to my mind, a risky business. Thank you.